Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Military Surplus Firearm Collecting. Today we're going to kind of do a follow-up to video 5 on little tips. So a guy walks into a gun shop and sees a nice standard M9130 or Mosin Nagant rifle sitting on the counter. Well, in my last video I explained how when I saw something that I thought was one thing, I got super excited and ended up screwing myself pretty bad. Definitely learned from that because it paid off on this guy. Now, I walked into this gun shop, I think it was 2 years ago now, and I just started using them as an FFL dealer. That really isn't relevant. But I noticed something right away that I got excited about, but I didn't show it. That's another thing, is if you do see something like that and you're at a gun shop like that, don't get too excited, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. I'll finish the story and then you can kind of guess. So I walk in there and right away you'll notice that this does not have shellac on it. It looks like the original finish. Kind of a little spoiler right there. And anyway, I saw these things hanging off of it, and I see these screw in the pre-war escutcheons, or however you call that or say that, and then I just kind of noticed that, it looks pretty non-refurbished. It's 1940 dated M9130, and I just kind of casually picked it up, and I noticed something interesting that I confirmed my definite suspicions, and it was confirmed that this is a Finnish captured M9130 that was used by the Finns. You can tell. I mean, I probably sat in a rack. It doesn't look like it was dropped or used very much, and the bore was pretty good. But yeah, so I picked it up, and I just went, okay. And then I set it back down, and I got to talking, and I think I was picking up a gun anyway. So I was like, how much do you want for that Mosin? Or I just called it like something basic that everybody would. And he goes, I just got that in. I don't know, what do you think? $225? And this was when Mosins were already $300 and $350 just for the standard like Soviet refurbs. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And so I grabbed it, and I'm just like, wow, I guess that did pay off. Because what happens is, if you get super excited, he didn't know what he wanted to ask for it. So if you get super excited, he's probably going to assume that he can get a little bit more, which is totally fair. As a business owner, that's what I would do. However, what's worked for me several times, it worked with my my M1 Garand that I picked up 10 years ago, is when you see a really good price on something and you've checked it over and you've calmed your tits and not gotten super excited and overlooked like, oh, maybe this bore was completely shot out and, a sewer pipe, but, I just paid $225 for a, nice display piece, but there are cheaper things to just put on display. Anyway, when you kind of just take a step back and you act like, take it or leave it, you're going to probably be a little bit more able to haggle, which is part of the fun of actually going there in person to a small mom and pop shop and seeing something like this, is you can go, For myself, I also like to support small businesses, and at that point I wasn't hurting for money, and $225 was more than fair. I suppose I could have knocked it down to $200 if I would have really asked, but I thought that was fair for both of us. You got to also be considerate and don't burn bridges either. Don't piss people off when they realize, I screwed myself, maybe I'm not going to give them a deal anymore. You got to build that rapport, that personal relationship, which is another little tip that I'll throw in here for free. Anyway, so that actually worked out, and we were both happy with it, and then I told him what it was, and he was like, oh, cool, interesting, I don't collect that stuff. And then with my M1, I did the same thing. I just kind of looked at it, and I'm like, I mean, the price was insanely low. I think it was $650 back in the day, and it's in pretty damn good shape, and it's been a great shooter for years. And I just kind of looked it over, and I was like, I think they wanted like $675. I'm like, you do $650 out the door? Yeah, sure. Because I was just kind of acting like it wasn't a huge deal. But if I would have been like, oh my God, an M1, oh my God, and then overlooked a bunch of stuff, which I didn't. I actually calmed down. I think that M1 was it was before I screwed myself. So I don't know what happened that day with the 1903, to be honest, if you watched the last video. Anyway, so I'll stop rambling because this is a pretty short, self-explanatory one, but nice little story time. So it does pay to just relax and not show, for both things, for getting a decent deal. If you want to haggle, if you want to, get a better price than what's on there already, even though it's a good price, it serves two purposes. You get more haggle ability, probably. It's like putting your stats in Skyrim and Oblivion, for haggling. Like, you're probably going to have a bigger advantage if you calm down. And again, you'll tend to not overlook things that are wrong with the rifle. Because yeah, if I hadn't looked at the bore and it was a sewer pipe, well, you screwed yourself a little bit. You have a piece of history, but you have a very expensive, useless piece of history. So anyway, that's all I've got for this video. This is, I don't know if I've even shot this yet. I've had it for 2 years, but it's just a really prime example of a, nice finish captured M9130 in original configuration with the original Soviet stock. And it was just a really kind of relieving thing. Once in a while you get a win like this, but it was because I learned years ago, due to that video, episode 5 of this series. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out, on how I screwed myself. But it can also work for you to learn from your mistakes and get cool stuff like this. And you get really lucky. Everybody's a winner. Anyway, I'll wrap this up. I think I've already said it like 3 times, but yeah, if you like this video and you want to support my work, you can do that through Patreon. That's the easiest way for everyone involved, and including myself. So it's $1 a month and $5 a month or more gets into my Discord server, which is a really fun time. I have a lot of fun on there, and there's a lot of good discussions, a lot of good information on there too that I'm even learning stuff from. So yeah, and it also helps fund like things like helmet ballistic tests, educational videos on historical items in general, which is kind of the whole point of my channel. I love teaching people about my passion as much as I can, and I love using physical items to actually show you instead of just using pictures. And then yeah, I like doing ballistic tests and body armor ballistic tests or something I want to do, but that gets really expensive, and so does shooting and stuff like that. So Patreon, crowdfunding in general just really helps support what I do, and I can put out more content. Thanks to my current patrons, you guys are awesome, or past and present rather. You guys are awesome. Been able to get a lot of really awesome things to make some really sweet educational content on. So yeah, again, the link is in the description. If you can't do that, I totally get it, and that's totally fine. I just really do appreciate you watching this. Let me know if you got any questions. I'm not a total expert. I'm just a guy that's been collecting things for a few years, and I'm willing to admit when I make mistakes, but I'm also trying to help people not make the same mistakes I did, because it costs a lot of money and you kind of get a little bit of a scar on your ego, get a bruised ego for a while because you done goofed. But anyway, all right, I'll stop rambling. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode of Military Surplus Firearm Collecting.